I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Good morning, everyone. April 27th, 2018, antimedia.com. Written by John Dietz, or Jason Dietz, rather. Israeli war with Iran increasingly likely, Mattis warns. If Mattis isn't going to drag us into war, or Trump, or whoever, and it'd be Israel. So, having met with his Israeli counterpart, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis warns he sees an Israeli war with Iran as very likely. He cited Iran's presence in Syria as the likely cause of such a fight. Lieberman has long advocated war with Iran and talks up confrontation in visits with Mattis and John Bolton. He said Israel would attack any Iranian foothold in Syria regardless of the price. So, you know, he's going to do it no matter what. And, hey, if they get nuked, goddammit, regardless of the price. Israeli officials have long overstated Iran's presence in Syria. It's really none of their fucking business who Syria hosts in their country. Ambassador, Danon, today claimed Iran had over 80,000 fighters in Syria. This is false, and the number is simply the number of Shiite militias in all of Syria, with the assumption that they would all be loyal to Iran. Mattis added that, "We hope Iran would pull back, rather than risk Israeli attacks. Israel has repeatedly attacked Syria over the past several months. Israeli officials claim those strikes are all on Iranian bases, though those bases are formally just Syrian military bases." So, more fun to come. It's all just building up. All the insanity and all the animosity. It's all just building up. The secret circle that controls the government. Since this report before was so short, this one is not, however. It is a very long report. So, and this is an old article, but it is worth going over again. I did way back when. You all might not know this, but I had other YouTube channels, and they were taken down too. So, who is in charge of destroying economies? One group has been virtually forgotten. Its influence is enormous. It has existed since 1973. It is called the Trilateral Commission. Keep in mind that the original stated goal of the Trilateral Commission was to create a new international economic order. In a run-up to his inauguration after the 2008 presidential election, Obama was tutored by the co-founder of the Trilateral Commission, Zbigniew Brzezinski. In 1969, 4 years before birthing the Trilateral Commission with David Rockefeller, Brzezinski wrote, "The nation-state as a fundamental unit of man's organized life has ceased to be the principal creative force. International banks and multinational corporations are acting and planning in terms that are far in advance of political concepts of the nation state. Goodbye, separate nations. Any doubt on the question of TC or Trilateral Commission's goals is answered by David Rockefeller himself, the founder of the Trilateral Commission, in his memoirs. Some even believe we are a part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that is the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. So, that's for anyone who would say, it's conspiracy theorist. It's like the people that can't decide when to go in traffic. They must have this retard voice in their head saying, "Can I go yet? Shall I go yet?" And it's the same principle here. I mean, these people openly admit what they want. They openly talk about it, and have for a long time. Patrick Wood, author of Trilaterals over Washington, points out there are only 87 members of the Trilateral Commission who live in America. Obama appointed 11 of them to posts in his administration. Kind of makes you wonder how many are still there with I said Obama, with Trump. How many of the motherfuckers are there with Trump? If it's not the Trilateral Commission, it is the Council on Foreign Relations that has people in there. And here's some examples. Tim Geithner, Treasury Secretary; James Jones, National Security Advisor; Paul Volcker, Chairman, Economic Recovery Committee; and Dennis Blair, Director of National Intelligence. I'm not going to read the conversation that he has up here. Anyone who was anyone in Washington politics and media in think tanks had access to it. Maybe it is a pretty important conversation. The conversation revealed that the entire basis of the U.S. Constitution had been torpedoed, that the people who were running the U.S. national policy, which includes trade treaties, were agents of an elite shadow group, no question about it. And yet, official silence, media silence, the Department of Justice made no moves, Congress undertook no serious inquiries, and President Jimmy Carter issued no statements. Carter was himself an agent of the Trilateral Commission in the White House. He had been plucked from obscurity by David Rockefeller, and through elite Trilateral Commission press connections, vaulted into the spotlight as a preeminent choice for the presidency. That's exactly what happened to Obama, too. And nobody really heard of that motherfucker except for maybe people in Chicago before he was a senator. And even then, yeah, I'm not going to go through and read the interview. I'll leave a link in the description box, but it's an interview between three people. Jeremiah Novak, and two trilateral members, Carl Kaiser and Richard Cooper. How much you want to bet those two guys are both Jews? I'm going to go down here. This interview slipped under the mainstream media radar, which is to say it was buried. U.S. and other nations' economic and political policy run by a committee of the Trilateral Commission, the commission created in 1973 by David Rockefeller and his sidekick, Brzezinski. When Carter won the presidential election in 1976, his aide, Hamilton Jordan, said that if, after the inauguration, Cy Vance and Brzezinski came on board as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, we've lost and I'll quit. Lost because both men were powerful members of the Trilateral Commission, and their appointment to key position would signal a surrender of White House control to the Commission. Vance and Brzezinski were appointed Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, as Jordan feared, but he didn't quit. He became Carter's Chief of Staff. Now, consider the vast propaganda efforts of the past 40 years on so many levels to install the idea that all nations and people of the world are a single collective. We're not a single collective, people. From a high level of political and economic power, this propaganda opt has had the objective of grooming the population for a planet that is one mass, run and manipulated by one force. A central engine of that force is the Trilateral Commission. Now, how does a shadowy group like the Trilateral Commission accomplish its goals? One basic strategy is destabilize nations, ruin their economies, send millions and millions of manufacturing jobs off to places where virtual slave labor does the work, adding insult to injury, export the cheap product of those slave factories back to the nations who lost the jobs, and further undercut domestic manufacturers, forcing them to close their doors and fire still more employees. Excuse me. And then solve that economic chaos by bringing order. What kind of order? Eventually, one planet, with national borders erased, under one management system, with a planned global economy to restore stability for the good of all, for lasting harmony. The top trilateral players in 2008 had their man in the White House. Another formerly obscure individual like Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, had new trade treaties on the planning table. After Obama was inaugurated for his first term, he shocked and astonished his own advisors, who expected him, as the first order of business, to address the unemployment issue in America. He shocked them by ignoring the number one concern of Americans, and instead decided to opt for his disastrous national health care insurance policy, Obamacare. Obama never had any question or intention of trying to dig America out of the crash of 2008. That wasn't why he was put into the Oval Office. He could and would pretend to bring back the economy with fudged numbers and distorted standards, but really and truly create good-paying jobs for many Americans? not on the Trilateral Commission agenda, not in the cards. It was counterproductive to the TC plan, further undermine the economy. So that one day a student would ask his teacher, what happened to the United States? And the teacher would say, it was a criminal enterprise based on individual freedom. Fortunately, our leaders rescued the people and taught them the superior nature of harmony and cooperation. The rough, uneven, and challenged nationalism surfacing in a number of countries is evidence that many people are waking up from the trilateral-induced trance. And then, of course, you have the CRFR. You have all these other round table groups. I mean, there's many of them. And they're all the organs that make up what people call the Illuminati now. And they are Luciferian people. They worship Lucifer. They believe in bloodletting and sacrifice, human sacrifice, and all of it. Makes me wonder where all the missing people go. Maybe it's maybe they're getting sacrificed, some of them. I think that's probably a very good possibility. And the only way to get rid of these people is through force. Hope everyone has a good day. Kill the state and live free.